friends, welcome to English Study Point. In this video lecture, I am going to discuss with you about Vikram Seth's biography. And also here in this video lecture, I am going to discuss with you all his important major works that are very important from UGC net point of view. Now friends, first of all, I am telling you names of his parents to whom he is born. So he is born to Prem Seth as well as Leela Seth on 20th June 1952 in Calcutta, and he is by profession an Indian poet, novelist, travel writer, children's writer, biographer and memorist. Memorist is a person who used to write memoirs, and memoirs is a non-fictional writing in which writer used to give detailed description of his personal experiences. So memorist is a person who used to write memoirs. Now, he was such macabre or excellent in creative writing that he received Bellis-Stigner Fellow. It is a kind of achievement received by him when he was at Stanford University. So during his time at Stanford University in the US, he won a Bellis-Stigner Fellow in the field of creative writing. Now, at this point, he penned the poems that were published in his first published work. So here we come to know that he started his literary career by writing a poetry that is called as Mappings, and this work was published in 1980. By writing this work, he started his literary career. Then the book did not get kind reviews from critics, and we also realized that Mappings was the first work through which this particular writer, that is Vikram Seth, started his literary career. And in the start, he did not receive positive feedback about his works. He did not get kind reviews from critics about after publishing this work, that is Mappings. Then in each of Seth's novel, we find there are so many depiction of so many themes, such as in some works he is against or in favor of homosexuality. Also, he talks about Christianity in his works. There we see many incidents in which he tries to cover civil disobedience movement. Also, he talks about feminism, tolerance, etc. So his works deals with these type of things, that is homosexuality, Christianity, civil disobedience, feminism, as well as tolerance. So in each of Seth's novel and much of his poetry, there have been central or peripheral gay themes and characters. Then Seth is best known for his novels. So first of all, we realize that Seth started his career as a poet, but he is best known for his novels. So Seth is now best known for his novels, though he has characterized himself as a poet first and novelist second. But here we see that he was known for writing novels, and he published 5 volumes of poetry in his career span. And his first work was Mappings, which was published in the year 1980, and this particular work was published privately by him. Then his travel book From Heaven Lake, travels through Sinkian and Tibet. This work was published in the year 1983, and this work received Thomas Cook Award for travel writing, and this work received immense success, for which he received this type of award. And in this work, he talks about his journey through Tibet, China and Nepal. And we see that Vikram Seth is often compared with Salman Rushdie as well as Amitav Ghosh. Vikram Seth bought and renovated so this is one of the most important fact. And also in the previous year, I have seen that, so while analyzing previous year's question, I have seen that this particular question was asked. This question was asked in previous year UGC net exam. So the question is, which particular writer or novelist bought and renovated the house of Anglican poet George Herbert near Salisbury, England in 1996? So his name is Vikram Seth. This person bought and renovated the house of the Anglican poet George Herbert near Salisbury, England in 1996. Then, now let's talk about his awards that he received during his lifetime. So first award he received for writing his work, that is Travels Through Sinkian and Tibet. For this work, after publishing this work, he received Thomas Cook Travel Book Award. And in the year 1985, he received Commonwealth Poetry Prize for his work, that is poetry, and name of that poetry is The Humble Administrator's Garden. And another award he received in the year 1988 for he received Sahitya Academy Award for his work The Golden Gate. Then in the year 1993, he received Irish Times International Fiction Prize for after publishing work called A Suitable Boy. Then in the year 1994, he received Commonwealth Writers Prize for after publishing A Suitable Boy. Then another in the year 1994, he received W.H. Smith Literary Award for his work A Suitable Boy. Then in the year 1999, he received Crossword Book Award for his work An Equal Music. This particular work was published by him in the year 1999, An Equal Music. Then let's talk about a collection of his novels that he used to publish in his lifetime. First novel published by him was in the year 1986, and name of this novel is The Golden Gate. Then another novel is A Suitable Boy, published by him in the year 1993. Then another novel is An Equal Music, published in the year 1999. Then another novel is A Suitable Girl, published in the year 2016. Then let's talk about his poetry published by him. First one is Mappings, published in the year 1980, and this particular work, after publishing this particular poetry, we see that it was a first step in his in the start of his literary career, and it was the Said's first volume of poetry. Then another poetry is The Tale of Malin City, published in the year 1981. Then The Humble Administrator's Garden, published in the year 1985. All You Who Sleep Tonight, published in the year 1990. Then Beastly Tales from Here and There, published in the year 1991 and 1992. Then children's book. This particular poetry is a sort of children's book consisting of 10 stories in verse, and this volume of poetry talks about animals. Then another poetry is Three Chinese Poets, published in the year 1992. Then The Frog and the Nightingale, 1994. So please remember this, The Frog and the Nightingale, this is a poetry published by him in the year 1994. Let me tell you about this poetry in a detailed manner. This poetry basically talks about, in this work, that is The Frog and the Nightingale, Vikram Seth talks about that here in this work, there is a jealous frog, and who does not let real talent flourish of others. He always used to discourage them, and finally he eliminates them. So he doesn't allow any person to let their real talent flourish. So in this work, it is a poem which talks about a jealous frog who does not let anyone's talent flourish, and he used to discourage this frog used to discourage other animals by discouraging them, and also he used to tease other people, and finally eliminates them. So he is such a jealous personality present in this work, and Vikram Seth, when tries to publish this poetry, he is with this work tries to give moral message to readers who is reading this particular poetry, that is The Frog and the Nightingale. By publishing this poetry, he used to give message to the readers that we should not develop such kind of jealousy towards other, and we should always try to appreciate others' talent and never let anybody's talent devalue, or you can say that we never let anyone's real talent goes in any vain effort, as because everybody tries to give his best as well as put his effort. So in that way, every person should be appreciated for any work he used to do, that person do. Then so it is a moral fable about a frog and a nightingale. Frog represents the cunning capitalist mind. So here in this work, as I have already said, that frog is a dominant authority and he represents capitalist mind. So he is excessively greedy. Then, and nightingale represents a vulnerable artist. In this work, nightingale is a symbol of vulnerable artist. The arrogant frog has been ruling the bog and torturing its residents with her cacophonous singing. So in this work, we find that frog tries to tease other animals present in the area around him. He never let anyone's talent flourish, and he used to tease other animals present in and around his area by his cacophonous singing, which is disliked by everyone around him. The frog pushes her to the verge where her health and energy fails and she dies. So here we see dominance of frog, who can do anything, and even if he tries to take advantage of a weak nightingale, he puts this nightingale to the verge of death, and at the end she dies. So here we see the dominance of frog, and by publishing this particular poetry, Vikram Seth is trying to give us a moral message that we should not be jealous of others' talent, as well as we should always try to appreciate others in whichever field they are doing their best. Then there is another poetry published by him, that is Summer Requiem, a book of poems published by him in the year 2015. Then I am talking about children's fiction published by him, that is Arion and the Dolphin, published in the year 1994. Vikram Seth is commissioned by English National Opera for writing this work. A libretto and it is a kind of libretto which is based on the Greek legend of Arion and the Dolphin. Let me tell you about this story. This particular work of Vikram Seth, that is Arion and the Dolphin, is a retelling of the ancient Greek legend of a young Corinthian musician who, having won a gold prize for his singing, is thrown overboard by greedy sailors, and when he was thrown overboard by greedy sailors, this musician, that is Corinthian musician, befriends a dolphin inside water, and this dolphin becomes his rescuer as well as his protector. So this particular work is based on the Greek legend of Arion and the Dolphin. Now let's talk about his non-fictional works. First one is From Heaven Lake, travels through Sinkian and Tibet, published by him in the year 1983. Then another work is a memoir published by him in the year 2005, that is Two Lives. Then third non-fictional work published by him in the year 2001, that is The Revered Earth. Then we also see contribution given by him in others' poetries as well. First of all, he contributed in The Golden Pleasure as well as the Oxford India Anthology of 12 Modern Poets. So we see here that Vikram Seth also made his contribution in others poetries as well. First one is The Golden Treasure, then another one is the Oxford India Anthology of 12 Modern Indian Poets. Now I am heading towards explaining you his first poetry, that is Mappings. It is the first book of poem published by the writer's work. So after publishing this poetry, that is Mappings, he started his literary career. And this particular poetry was published by the writer's workshop. Then another work is From Heaven Lake, Travels Through Sinkian and Tibet, published by him in the year 1983. This particular work won him Travel Book Award. And this particular work is based upon his experiences when he was postgraduate student. After 2 years of his post-graduation at Nanjing University, which is in China, Vikram Seth came back to his home, which is in New Delhi, via Tibet. Then another work is The Humble Administrator's Garden, published in the year 1985, and this particular work talks about his travel experiences. So it gives account of the different travels that is undergone by him during his lifespan. So it contains geography of Vikram Seth's life. It is inspired by his years of study and travel in China. So this particular work talks about his experiences when he studied as well as traveled and explored different places in China. Then another work is All You Who Sleep Tonight. This work, a section of the poems has been set by British composer Jonathan Dove. So this particular, by introducing this work, by introducing this work of Vikram Seth, that is All You Who Sleep Tonight, I am going to make you know important fact about this poetry, that important section of this poem was set by a British composer Jonathan Dove. This is important fact for all of you to know. Then there is another poetry, that is Three Chinese Poets. It is a book of poetry by titular poets. Please remember this. It is a book of poetry in which he describes about 3 poets from popular poets from China. First one is Wang Wei, Li Bai and Liu Fu. These are greatest Chinese poets, and in this book of poetry he avoided any style as well as philosophy of translation by Ezra Pound, that is done by Ezra Pound. So he rejected any kind of style as well as philosophy used by Ezra Pound. Then first, let's talk about his first novel, that is The Golden Gate, a novel in verse. This particular work describes about lives of a number of young professionals in San Francisco. And this novel is written in rhyming tetrameter sonnets after the style of Charles Johnston's 1997 translation of Alexander Pushkin's Eugene Onegin. Please remember this. Here in this novel, this Vikram Seth followed Charles Johnston's translation of Alexander Pushkin's style, that is Eugene Onegin. Then this particular novel deals with lives of people living in Silicon Valley, and after publishing this particular novel, Vikram Seth won the Sahitya Academy Award and Indian Literary Honor for his book The Golden Gate. And this particular work composed of 590 Onegin stanzas. So as I've already said you that in this particular work, Vikram Seth followed Charles Johnston's 1997 translation of Alexander Pushkin's style, that is Eugene Onegin. So that is why here in this work, after inspiring from this translation of work, he also composed this particular work in composing of 590 Onegin stanzas. Then this particular novel is set in 1980s, and it describes experiences of a group of UPs here is professionals who are professional in some or other fields. So this particular work mainly talks about experiences of UPs who are professionals living in California. Then there is a protagonist, John Brown, who is a successful UP living in 1980s in San Francisco. This particular person, John Brown, falls in love with Liz. And then there is another friend of John Brown whose name is Janet Hayakawa. So we here begin to notice that Liz begins to fall in love with John's best friend, and John realizes his journey of, and at that moment of time, John realizes his journey of self-discovery. So let me repeat this once again to you. First of all, John Brown falls in love with Liz, but Liz is in love with another person whose name is Janet Hayakawa, and Janet Hayakawa is best friend of John Brown. And at that period of time, or at that moment of time, John Brown suddenly realizes his journey of self-discovery. So he went on this journey of self-discovery to discover about himself, to know more about himself. So he tried to choose better option for himself, that he engaged in a journey of self-discovery. Then it comprises of 13 books or chapters totalizing 590 sonnets, and it is presented in form of Onegin stanza, as I have already said. Then it was inspired by Charles Johnston's translation of Pushkin's Eugene Onegin. So that is why we find in this work, also in this work, there is presence of 590 Onegin stanzas. And then there is another novel by Vikram Seth, which was published by him in the year 1993. This work was based on the first volume of 18th century Chinese novel, The Story of the Stone by Cao Yuqin. Please remember this. This is very important fact about this particular novel, and also by after reading this particular novel, Vikram Seth was so inspired that he published A Suitable Boy. This particular work is in 19 parts and in a rhyming couplet form, and available to us in 1349 pages, and it talks about four family saga set in post-independence, post-partition India, and it alternatively as well as satirically and earnestly examines issues of national politics in the period up to the first post-independence national election of 1952. And in this work we see issues, there are many issues which deals with Aryan animosity, land reforms, the eclipse of the feudal princes and landlords, academic affairs, intra and inter-family relations. So let's talk about this work in a more elaborative way. This novel follows the story of four families over a period of 18 months and centers on Mrs. Rupa Mehra's efforts to arrange the marriage of her younger daughter Lata to a suitable boy. And this particular work is set in from the period between 1952 till 1952. And this particular novel is set in Brahmpur town, which is in Purva Pradesh. And this work talks about four families. First one is the Mehras, the Kapoors, the Khans, as well as the Chatterjees. And after publishing this particular novel got him the W.H. Smith Literary Award as well as Commonwealth Writers' Prize. And let's summarize this work. This work centers on Mrs. Rupa Mehra's efforts to arrange the marriage of her young daughter Lata to a suitable boy. Lata in this work is a 19-year-old university student. So she is studying in university and she refuses as because she is studying and she does not want any kind of distraction in making her career. So she denies her mother that please don't choose a suitable boy for me because it is not a correct time for me to marry. In this age, I am wanted to make my career and become something in my life. So she aims for becoming something in her life, but her mother, that is Rupa Mehra, she denies her, and she again and again puts efforts to arrange a suitable boy for her. And her story revolves around the choice she is forced to make between her that Lata is forced to marry and choose three boys which is presented in front of her. So she is given to choice given or offered choice to marry any one among these three, that is Kabir, Harish as well as Amit. And setting of this particular novel is in town Brahmpur. Then Lata dismisses as she intends to concentrate on her studies in English literature. So every time she used to deny her mother, saying, no, this is not the correct time for me to marry. Please choose a suitable boy for me when I pursue my studies completely. But every time her mother insists her on and on that this is correct age for her to marry. And we find that later on Lata, this girl, falls in love with a man whose name is Dr. Kabir Durrani. But suddenly there came a moment where she realized that he is a Muslim boy. And we see that this particular work is compared to Tolstoy's War and Peace. And later, finally, she married to Harish, a shoe manufacturer. So later, Lata got married to a man whose name is Harish, and he, by profession, is a shoe manufacturer. Then let's talk about Mehra family. So Mrs. Rupa Mehra, a mother searching for a suitable boy for her youngest daughter, Raghubir Mehra, her deceased husband. So we also find here in this novel that Rupa Mehra is so tense towards finding a suitable boy for her girl, as because her father's health is not fine. So she wanted to marry her girl, get married her girl in a younger age, because she thinks that she is more outdated in thoughts, and she thinks that she wants to marry her young girl very early because her father's health do not remain fine. Then Raghubir Mehra, her deceased husband, then we find that there is son of Rupa Mehra whose name is Arun, and also we find that there is Mrs. Mehra too. He is oldest son of Mrs. Mehra and he is married to Meenakshi Chatterjee. Then Aparna is daughter of Arun and Meenakshi. Lata is a girl who got married later on to Harish Khanna, who is a shoe business manufacturer. So Lata got married, and her marriage is arranged marriage. Lata falls in love. First, she falls in love with Dr. Durrani, mathematician at the university, and that Kabir and Lata attend. Then Harish Khanna, he later married to him. He is an enterprising as well as determined shoe business manufacturer. Then this work got him the W.H. Smith Literary Award and the Commonwealth Writers' Prize. Then another work by Vikram Seth is Suitable Girl. This is a forthcoming novel published by him in the year 2016, and this work is a sequel to his work 1993 work. This book describes about his failed relationship with Philippe Honor, and she is at that time Philippe Honor is a French violinist. So in this work we find that this work describes more about Vikram Seth's failed relationship with Philippe Honor. Then Then there is another work, that is Arion and the Dolphin, published in the year 1994. This work is retelling of the ancient Greek legend of a Corinthian musician, in this work we see that this work is a retelling of the ancient Greek legend of a young Corinthian musician who won a gold prize for his singing, and he, due to jealousy, is thrown overboard by greedy sailors, and when he was overthrown by greedy sailors in the water, he befriends a dolphin who becomes his rescuer as well as protector. And this work is a mixture of verse as well as prose, adapted from Vikram Seth's libretto for an opera commissioned by the English National Opera. So this work is a mixture of both verse as well as prose and adapted from Vikram Seth's libretto for an opera commissioned by the English National Opera. So for writing this work, he was commissioned by English National Opera. That is why Vikram Seth wrote this work, that is Arion and the Dolphin. Then An Equal Music. This particular work is a story, and this novel revolves mainly around two characters. First one is Michael, a professional violinist, and another one, and he falls in love with Julia, a pianist. So here in this work we see that this work, An Equal Music, deals with the troubled love life of a violinist whose name is Michael, who never forget his love for Julia. And Julia here in this work is a pianist he met as a student in Vienna. So Michael falls in love with a girl whom he met as a student in Vienna, and her name is Julia, and she is by profession a pianist. So the story in the novel revolves around Michael, a professional violinist, and his love with Julia, a pianist. The novel was well received by musical fans and was appreciated for the accuracy of Vikram Seth's descriptions of music. So this particular novel is described as accurate novel in a way, because in this work Vikram Seth perfectly describes about music. And we see here in this work that there is a presence of Beethoven piano trio opus number 3, and here there is this is a type of theater in which there is performance going on in the college days, and here two characters meet. First of all, his name is Michael, who is a professional violinist, and another character is Julia, a pianist, and they two met here, and Michael suddenly started falling in love with her. So this is a place, Beethoven piano trio opus number 3 is a place where where different things performed in their college days, and this particular work was inspired by French violinist Philippe Honor. Please remember this. Then last work is Two Lives. This particular work was published in the year 2005. In this work is a sort of memoir written by Vikram Seth at the suggestion of his mother, and in this work he mainly focuses in trying to showcase us he tries to showcase readers with a great marriage between. He describes about great marriage between his great aunt as well as his uncle. So Shanti Bihari Seth, his uncle, as well as his German Jewish great aunt Henriel Gerda Caro. So marriage is taking place in his family between his uncle as well as his German Jewish great aunt, whose name is Henriel Gerda Caro. And this particular work delves into the ups and downs of the lives of his uncle and aunt. So in this work, basically he tries to showcase us the ups and downs encountered by two couples. First one, his uncle as well as his German Jewish great aunt. And this work won him Vodafone crossword book in the year 2006. With this, this particular video lecture ends. Hope this video lecture will help you in your UGC NET English Literature exams.